This SOS video is on polynomial expressions with multiple operations. And as shown in the previous lessons, we can simplify those expressions. Just as a reminder, if I see a binomial to a power, I should write that binomial as a factor that many times. So x plus 3 to the second power means I write x plus 3 as a factor 2 times. And then you do the calculations. Also, when you see the word from moves the expression to the front. From goes first. So if I say subtract 5x from 2x squared plus 3x, I am subtracting this term from this that goes in front. And that's how you would write it. So let's take a look here. I have a monomial times a binomial minus this. So I don't have any exponents, anything to a power over here. So I can start from the left. 4x times 5x squared is 20x to the third. Remember, that's x to the first. When I multiply variables, I keep the variable and I add the exponents. 4x to the first times a negative 2x to the first is a negative 8x squared. Minus, and I'm going to have the result of this, I'm going to subtract the entire thing. So if you'd like, you could do this off to the side. X plus 4 times x minus 5. X times x is x squared. X times a negative 5 is a negative 5x. And there's no more terms to multiply by x here, so I go back to this parentheses. 4 times x is a positive 4x, and a positive 4 times negative 5 is a negative 20. When I combine like terms, I get x squared minus x minus 20. Now remember, we're going to subtract this entire answer, so I need to put that entire answer in parentheses. I'm going to copy what's in front because there's no parentheses with that. And remember, when we have a negative outside a set of parentheses, this is the same as multiplying by a negative 1. And every term inside here is going to be written as its opposite. So negative times a positive is a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative times a negative is a positive. And now I've done the multiplication. I've gotten rid of the parentheses, and our final answer is going to be in standard form. So I look for my highest exponent, which is a 3. No other x cubes are around, so I'm going to write 20x to the third power. The next highest exponent is a 2, so negative 8x squared and a negative x squared is a negative 9x squared. And then my next one is just the variable x, and finally the constant 20. And that would be my simplified polynomial expression, because I cannot do any more calculations. There are no like terms to combine. Let's take a look at the next problem. Subtract 4x plus 3, the quantity squared, from 10x squared minus 5x plus 6. So subtract this amount. From goes first. So I put this entire expression in front. We don't need to put parentheses around it because it's not going to be affected. Minus 4x plus 3 squared. Okay, now that I've set it up, the next calculation I need to do is to take this squared. So remember, you can do this off to the side. When I see a binomial to that power, I'm going to write binomial as a factor that many times. So 4x times 4x is 16x squared, and 4x times 3 is 12x. 3 times 4x is another 12x, and 3 times a positive 3 is a positive 9. So I would get 16x squared plus 24x plus 9. That entire expression is going to be subtracted, which means I'm going to need to keep that expression in parentheses. So I have 10x squared minus 5x plus 6 minus 16x squared plus 24x plus 9. Our next step is to get rid of the parentheses. So I copy this, 10x squared minus 5x plus 6. And the negative outside is the same as multiplying by -1, which means every single term inside is changed to its opposite. So instead of a positive 16x squared, I have a negative 16x squared. Instead of a positive 24x, I have a negative 24x. Instead of a positive 9, I have a negative 9. And now let's combine like terms. So the degree of this is 2. That's your highest exponent. So I have 10x squared and negative 16x squared. That gives me negative 6x squared. Then I have negative 5x and a negative 24x. That gives me negative 29x. And finally, positive 6 and a negative 9 is a negative 3. And this trinomial is my final simplified expression. And our last problem. Find the result when the sum of these two expressions is multiplied by 1/5 x to the fourth. So we're saying we're going to multiply by 1/5 x to the fourth the sum of this, which means since that's going to be done first, I need to put that in parentheses. And we're going to add 18x cubed minus 7. You could put these in parentheses again, but remember when we add, nothing is changed with the signs of the numbers. So remember your order of operations. First we do what's in parentheses, then exponent, then multiplication, division, whichever comes first, and then addition and subtraction. So we need to work on what's inside the parentheses. I'll copy 1/5 x to the fourth, and I'm going to combine like terms, and let's write this in standard form. So your highest exponent is a 3. That's the only one there. 18x cubed. Next is 2x squared plus 2x squared. Then I have a positive 5x. And then a negative 3 and a negative 7 is a negative 10. Okay? I'm sorry, let's see. Okay. What I had wanted to do with this, so let me just change this. This is 2x cubed. So we're going to make this 2x cubed. Okay? So this is 1/5 x to the fourth. 2x cubed and 18x cubed is a 20x cubed. Okay? We have plus 5x minus 10. And now let's multiply everything in the parentheses by 1/5 x to the fourth. So 1/5 times 20 is 4, and x to the fourth times x to the third, keep the base and add the exponents. Now 1/5 x to the fourth times this, well 1/5 times 5 is a positive 1, and x to the fourth times x to the first is x to the fifth. And finally, multiplying by negative 10, 1/5 times negative 10 is a negative 2, x to the fourth. You could write a 1 here, or a lot of people end up just writing x to the fifth without that invisible 1 shown. And that is when we are going to simplify polynomial expressions with multiple operations.